So now that we have the complete color wheel of 6 colors, we have the special colors related to twilight, we have black and colorless, and the mixed colors. Now we can try and actually mix those colors, okay? And a good place to check these colors in your horoscope is by looking at your vehicles in your D16, right? So if you got the 4th cusp in Sagittarius, then you can have a red car, right? If Saturn is in Sagittarius as well, then you can get a dark red car, right? Which might be a maroon car, okay? If you get Mercury there too, then at some point you might actually get a car with a normal red color or perhaps a slightly brighter red color, right? And that brighter red car might be either new, or if it's secondhand, it might be as good as new, or very well maintained when you buy it because it's influenced by Mercury. Now the car with the maroon color influenced by Saturn might be an older car with obvious problems, right? Perhaps, the color might already be faded out, okay? You can also look at the dignity of the planets involved to see if it's actually a good idea to buy a car with a certain color, right? If in the D16 you have the 4th Lord Jupiter in an enemy sign, let's say Libra, then you might get into more problems with green colors, right? Perhaps you had a green car but had so many problems with it. Or you always wanted to have a green car but it just never happened, right? So there's sort of some misery related to green cars in that case. Now, if Venus, the Karaka of vehicles is in Taurus, let's say, which is in its own sign, then you always had pretty good luck with your cars that were white, right? If you have Venus in Taurus in the D16, then you know that white cars will be solid cars for you. So it's good to test colors with things with a limited amount in our life, right? Such as cars and also real estate. You can also check actually the colors of your clothes, right? You can examine your wardrobe. For that you use the D1. And usually we have a lot of different types of clothes, but when it comes to the color, there's usually 1 or 2 that are most prominent. You can look at your ascendant, sun and moon, and also the lords of the ascendant and sun and moon to get the colors of your clothes, right? And you will also see that throughout your life, the colors of your clothes have changed, right? And you might have liked the color of your ascendant more when you were young, but later on in your life, the color of your ascendant lord somehow becomes more prominent. Or perhaps as a kid you liked 2 colors the most, the colors of the signs where your sun and moon are. And then later on some other colors became more prominent. So this technique is not really meant for predicting every single color of your clothes in your wardrobe, but it sort of is meant to give you an overview of the major colors of your wardrobe. And another way that you can use these colors is actually as lucky colors, or the colors that sort of make your life easy and also bring fortune to you, right? On the other hand, of course, you can also detect colors that cause a lot of problems, right? So let's say you got Saturn and Mars in Taurus, then you might get white things, but they will cause you a lot of problems. Let's say when you're at home and you cook, you tend to wear white clothes, but they always sort of get stains from the cooking that are hard to get out. But if a person, let's say, has Venus and Jupiter in Taurus, then they might also wear white clothes for cooking, but they never get stains on it and they love wearing them so much, right? Actually, Venus and Jupiter in Taurus shows a woman that might even wear designer brands and luxury clothes while cooking and enjoy that whole experience. While a woman with Saturn and Mars in Taurus might sometimes try to wear some fancy clothes when they cook and perhaps when they do housework, but but they get just really frustrated a lot doing so, okay? So when signs are afflicted, it doesn't mean that the color associated with it is bad, right? It just means that likely there's more effort involved because there's more problems, Right? Let's say Saturn and Mars are in Taurus and you have a consulting business. Then when a client comes in dressed in perhaps predominantly white, you might have more problems with that person. Now you can still have a good relationship with that person and make money. It's just going to be more difficult. Whereas for the person with Venus and Jupiter in Taurus, when the client in white comes in, the interaction goes smooth, quick, and then even make extra money in the end, okay? So you can really use these colors as those, personalized omens, for people, right? The signs with solid planets in owner exaltation, those colors will be really good omens for them, right? Whereas the signs with debilitated planets or shame planets, those colors will cause them more problems and things won't work out as hoped for. Now, sometimes there are also big changes in our life, and those changes are caused by the change of a dasha or a major transit usually. When that happens, you might actually see yourself becoming really drawn towards a certain color. So let's say you just started your Jupiter dasha and Jupiter is in Cancer. And all of a sudden, whether you're a man or woman, you start to become attracted to wearing pink clothes. All right? The man now starts wearing pink shirts, for example, or the woman, she might get herself a complete new pink outfit, from pink shoes to pink pants to wearing this girlish pink headband. And finally, what I like to talk about is Rahu and Ketu. Now, Rahu and Ketu, they can tone something as well. Because Rahu is gray and Ketu is black. So Rahu can add a gray tone and Ketu can darken something or make it even completely dark, which is black, right? So there's always a possibility of something getting black when actually Ketu is in the sign of what you're predicting about. There's also a possibility of getting something that has a muted color, a grayish color if Rahu is involved, right? Because Rahu is going to decrease the saturation and makes colors look more dull and gray, and Ketu decreases the brightness and makes something darker. And the only way to really understand how that works and to get a feel for it, you really need to try it out on your own, in your own chart, and see just how it works out in your life. Okay. Now, I also really need to experiment a lot more, especially predicting down to the 5th level dasha. At some point, I really like to teach a course on predicting details, which is really a combination of the Rashi in question, the Lord of that Rashi, where it's placed, and the planets influencing both of those. Right? Those things combine to give the detail. There's a lot of stuff involved to give details, which makes it very difficult actually to predict details. And even in hindsight, it makes it harder actually to predict details. And this is really a huge challenge for an astrologer. It's something that most astrologers therefore ignore these days. We usually just try to predict that an event is going to happen, and hey, if you can do that, that's already pretty amazing. But then on top of it, it's even more fun, to predict all those details of the event as well.